Hello, welcome back, thanks for tuning in. This week's river pattern is an emerging dry mayfly. So what I've got in the vise is a Hanak H130 barbless hook. It's in size 10, quite a large size. And the thread I'm going to use is the Vivas 50 denier. It's a clear thread. And first thing I'm going to do to stop the thread slipping, I'm just going to put a touch of super glue on the shank of my hook, and I'll get a few wraps put down. Come all the way up to the point of the hook where I can remove my waste. And then a few wraps more just to hide that in there. I'm going to come back and open turns to the end. Now for this, the tail of this fly, I'm going to use the very tips of some moose mane. It's a fantastic material, this, for fly tyres. I only just discovered it recently. I seen it when I was down at Funky, and it's just so versatile. I use it for ribbon, wings, but it makes an excellent mayfly tail. The fibres are really exactly like a mayfly. So I'll select 3, and I want to just take a little bit of time to marry up the tips. Now I do it on while I'm still attached to the moose mane, because I'm only want to use the tips for this fly, but I can use the other strands for different stuff down the line, so I don't want to waste anything. The tail I like to be about the same length as the hook shank, so I've got them fairly even. I'm just going to snip that away. I'm going to change it over to C. Perfect. I can catch that in now. Come all the way down. Then to splay my tail out, I simply loop round the bend of the hook and bring up behind, and that'll help me splay my tail out. That's looking not bad. I'm going to come back to the front. Now I don't know if you've looked at mayfly nymph, you'll certainly have seen photographs of them, but they have a very prominent big eye, and I'm going to create that today using the same technique I did with the sumo shrimp. So what I was using, I don't know if I showed you it before, is this stuff. It's for sea fishing, and it's like a grey brown monofilament. So I'm just going to snip a small bit of that off. I don't need loads. So I'll take maybe half a centimetre, like so. And as I did with the sumo shrimp, I'm going to catch it in my needle nose tweezers. Don't worry folks, I bought my wife a new pair, so she's no longer hunting for these. And I'm just going to melt the ends. I'm just going to give it a second. It takes a while. If you try and grab it too quickly, you spoil the bulbous effect of the eye. That should do it. So I'll take that now. And it's a little bit fiddly, and you might not be able to see very well because my big muckle thumbs and fingers are in the way. But I'm just catching a couple of wraps of thread in between. You can see it's on the shank, and I'm going to use my finger to encourage it round and go over in a figure of 8 motion just to get my eye in place. Four or 5 wraps each way, then I can come back to the end of my fly, like so. Okay, all going well so far. So for the rib of this fly, I used to just use copper wire, but it seemed to add a bit more weight to the fly, so I've stopped doing that. Sorry, I'm just messing with the tail while I'm chatting here and making a mess of it. So what I use now is this. It's Vivus. It's a floss. It's called PC624, but as you can see, it's like a medium brown colour. And I'm going to take a run of this off. Depending on how many of these I tie, I'll take what I need. But before I do anything else, I'm going to take my wax and I'm going to run my wax through this. And this just helps it behave for me. Once you've run it through the wax, you can just take the majority of the wax off and run your thumb and forefinger through it several times. This creates heat and it just embeds the wax in. And what it gives you in the end is quite a nice rib. So I've got that there now, and I'm going to catch in my rib. There we go. Okay, for the body, I'm going to use some of Hemingway's Hare's dubbing, and this is in white. Now I use lots of different dubbing, but this is just perfect for mayfly. It's a creamy white colour and it's got some speckles in that I just really like. So I'm going to just take a bit of that and start to dub it onto my thread. It dubs so easily as well. It's very user friendly. Just put that bit to the side. He says it's taking a bit of a while to come off my fingers. Then in a clockwise direction, I'm going to bring my body up just to the end of my eyes there. I'm going to take my rib. Now before I twist my rib, I'm just going to twist it. And all this does is make it a little bit thinner. Then opposite to the way my body went, I can bring that over. Like so. And I'll trap that in with a couple of turns of thread. I can now come in with my snips and remove that piece of ribbon. So that's looking pretty decent. Next then, I'm going to put my wing, or I'm going to prepare the material for my wing. I'm going to use some of this. It's snowshoe. I'm a big fan of it. Some people don't like it. I think it's quite easy to work with and it gives a really nice effect for wings. So I've already been picking away at a fair bit of it. Now I've just taken out a couple of strands of that where I've cut before. I'm going to put that to the side because that's quite handy. And I'll be using that when I come to finish off. So I've gone in, I've selected my piece. I know I'm going to have to do this off camera, but I'll do it. Will I get away with it? Let's try. Just take a bit with your snips, transfer it in your hand, and dress it up to the hook. Now, I've got very little spare here, but I do want to tidy it up a little bit. Now, I like to just put it slightly over the eye, and don't worry about covering up your eyes, that's not a problem. And some really good tight wraps once you've got it in, and again, a little figure of 8 over your eyes never hurt. Now when I let that go, there is my wing. So that's in, nice and neat. Quite pleased with that. Now I'm going to spin my thread anti-clockwise, because the next thing I want to do is make a dubbing loop with my thread. So I'm going to use a bit more of the Hemingways. I've taken a little bit here, and the little strands of the snowshoe that I took out earlier, I'm going to add them in to get the effect I want. Now I'm just playing with it in my thumb and forefinger and lining everything up. Then I am going to use my little clip, little magic tool, or bulldog clip, whatever you like to use, to put that in. Then, even while I've just been sorting that out, this should behave for me, and if I bring my needle in at the back of the thread, it should offer itself up for an opening. In it goes, and there's my loop. Just going to grab my clip. It's a nice wee technique, this, and it hides a multitude of sins at the front. So I'm going to spin that up. Okay, so I've got a nice little brush going on there, and I don't know if you can notice, but I've got several of the snowshoe fibres in the brush, which gives it a really nice effect. Now, first thing I'm going to do is bring it over once, just to get myself up to the brush. I'm going to grab my wing, pull it forwards towards the eye, and bring in 2 wraps behind the wing. Now what that does, I'll just get that over there where I can rest it, is it cocks the wing, which is the effect I want. Now I'll explain the reason for that while I just finish off. So I'm going over the eye on my side one way, then over the eye on your side, and then I've come to the front of the hook. Now the 2 turns under the wing, cocking up what it does is when I'm trying to explain this right, I'm probably not making a good job of it. When the fly sits in the water, the hook kind of sits subsurface and the wing sits on the top. So what you've got is the impression of an emerging fly. So to finish off, I can simply build a little head at the front here, and come in with my Solaris. Whip finish or hand finish, whatever you're comfortable with. Just snap my thread away there and finish up with my UV torch. And I can spruce it up a little bit with my dubbing brush. So you've got that classic mayfly profile with the tail, and the colours, the cream with the brown, the Danica nymph down our way, it's very creamy with little dabbles of brown, and of course the prominent eye we've created there with our monofilament. And I would be confidently fishing this on the Avon, hopefully this week actually. But there we go. Thanks very much for watching.